Good afternoon. Today, Sarah and I are going to talk to you through how you manage your sourcing strategy across the world. Now, clearly there are many opportunities to source in vast numbers of countries, but where you source is going to be dependent on the size of your business, the volumes you want to source, and the categories that you're sourcing in, because different parts of the world are experts in different levels of sourcing. So whether it's far shore where you're looking for core volume to get very high margin, or whether it's nearer shore where you're tending to look for more fashionable products that you can respond to with real agility and you can buy less volume and then repeat in season, or that they add some differentiated, intricate looks and designs and embroidery that will enhance that product. So there are lots of choices, and the countries that we're going to discuss today is Africa, which is a vast country and has a number of regions that are already very, very big in the UK for sourcing, but another number of regions that are really growing. And the Hive team and the source team will really help you here, because I think there's some really interesting product now coming out of Africa for many reasons. Morocco is a huge fashion destination, and you'll find a number of the fast fashion retailers already use Morocco, but are starting to use countries like, and we're going to talk about Ethiopia, Tanzania, Egypt, and Madagascar. The key consideration when dealing with Africa is, A, it's vast, and while there is lots of support from a number of NGOs and a number of trade bodies to help support build trade out of Africa, it's really important that you get support when you're trading in those countries, because they are working very, very hard on the quality of their factories, the labour rules, and making sure that there's sustainability there. And sustainability is one of the key things that is growing actually rapidly throughout all these African countries. So doing business, making sure that you get the best benefit of the support that's coming from these textile incentives that these governments are getting, the skills initiatives that are being put into there, and the recommendations you can get from a sourcing consultant will be very, very helpful. So sustainability is growing but needs more emphasis, but just making sure that you're very aware of what regions there are and what the specialities that those regions can provide, and the very, very strong support that the textile industry, which is what Africa is known for, particularly the quality of the cotton it produces and its raw materials, that you're getting the benefit from those amazing raw materials that Africa can produce that other countries in the world don't. So Sarah's going to cover those countries that we've just highlighted and what you would expect from each of those countries.
Thank you, Anna. So across the continent of Africa, there are definitely skill sets and fabrics and materials that tend to resonate through several of the countries. So starting off with Ethiopia, this is one of the countries within the continent that's emerged as a hub for textile manufacturing. As Anna's alluded to, cotton's quite key in a lot of these regions, but also they work across home furnishings, cushions, rugs, blankets, and metalworked items as well. So again, this is something that you'll pick up in several areas, but they are particularly good within the materials of copper, silver, and brass. And also beadwork is something that you'll find strongly coming through from Ethiopia. And what's really interesting is how these countries are taking something that has often been an artisanal skill and lending that towards more contemporary looks and being used for trend products. So don't just view that as something that will look kind of more authentically African as such. They are really open to working on kind of trend patterns and designs. Madagascar, interestingly, is famous for raffia, so a material that pops up there out of kind of a uniqueness to them, but has interestingly become more of a sourcing location for fashion in recent years. So premium brands such as Stella McCartney source here, and interesting to note that around her sustainability and credentials that she's chosen to take her supply to that country. Textiles, across a range of items, so knitwear, denim, and then children's wear and women's wear. They do anything from scarves and sandals, and really kind of the highlight to all of that is the embroidery and embellishments that they add to those pieces. There's also sourcing for jewellery, leatherware on bags and belts, so a real kind of cross-section of kind of all the fashion items, which might surprise you kind of coming from an island nation. Then kind of moving around the continent to Egypt, textiles, notably leisurewear, is something that Egypt excel in, with cotton clothing also obviously coming through there. Jewellery with gemstones is something that again complements what the other countries are doing. You've got leather goods, gifts, alabaster is, and again, something that Egypt have strength on with wooden accessories. You've got hand-blown glass ornaments, which is a bit of an unusual one, but if you're kind of looking for interesting different sources for Christmas, might be one to give a look to. And nightwear and denim on fashion. And again, interestingly, a sort of geopolitical trend that we're picking up with Egypt is a lot of American retailers moving into factories in that area, which tend to then mean they're being set up for big runs. So again, can be a bit of a watch out in terms of if a factory is producing for a really substantial retailer in a big country, your order could get pushed to the back of a very long line. So just a bit of a watch out there. And then last but not least, Tanzania. So interestingly, is the largest organic cotton producing country in Africa. So again, that ties into them being particularly strong within the fashion areas. So products manufactured there, anything from t-shirts and polo shirts to even kind of coming into other sort of materials such as leggings, fleece and underwear. But jewellery and beaded works are going back to kind of the original artisan skills of the area, are key products for them. But also, as I said previously, looking at contemporising and trying new techniques with those artisan production methods.